we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to read the instructions for public forum. We're limited to 5 minutes per topic. Discussions or comments about town employees, agency members, or volunteers should be avoided so as not to violate individuals' rights. There is no one present for the public forum. We'll start with the minutes from our last meeting, which was October 16th.
I move we accept the minutes.
Second it?
Yes, okay. Michelle, we'll start with the director's report.
First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. And I'd like to say thank you. The past few months have been a little bit of a challenge for me, so I just want to say thank you to Diane Hanley and Clark Alderman for really stepping up to the plate and doing a lot of extra work that they really didn't have to do. So I sincerely appreciate them looking out for the center. And to our volunteers, Tim Annis and Michelle Saucier, for also giving those two guys a break when things are going on. So the last time we met, in the time before, you were looking for a man to do men's stretching. And we do have one now. His name is Sean Lorden, and he is a physical therapist from right here on 146, Concierge Physical Therapy. And he is volunteering his time to teach that class. So he starts, he's done one class, he's doing another one today. He's got another one in a week and a half, not next week, but the following week. We haven't picked days for February yet because he kind of goes by his calendar. So we should know in a couple of weeks, but he will do it twice a month and perhaps even more if it continues to be successful. So sincerely, I want to thank him for volunteering his time. This class is free. Again, he's volunteering his time, and it's open for all men. It's a men's stretching class. So, and typically Tuesdays at 10:30. I've a massage therapist. Her name is Toby Brinkman, and she's going to start hopefully in March. She had a wonderful informational on the benefits of massage therapy. This is a trial program, and anyone that's using her service will pay her directly. You don't pay me, pay her directly, much like you do with Rita, the hairdresser. You pay her directly. So,
Do you know how much she's charging, or is that just private when they?
that would be private with the person, but as far as I understand right now, it's going to be $25 for 30 minutes. Okay. And that would take place in the back room. There's nothing going on in that back room where the dartboard is, the Shaw room there. So.
And will people call for, like they do for Rita,
Yes.
to set up a
Yep.
time?
Yep, they would call just like they do for the hairdresser. We're going to see if it goes off. If not, I've had people ask about it, so that's where that came in.
Okay.
And I believe somebody told me that another senior center does that. Grafton has a massage therapist there, so
They really?
I think it's kind of neat. See what happens there. I received a grant for $5,000 through Millbury Savings Bank, and that's to assist our seniors in need with their heating bill. I'll be accepting applications until February 25th. I only take the applications. I do not award anyone. So you come to me, we fill out the application, and I send it to Millbury Savings Bank, and they take it from there. So I have no funds. It's all up to them as to what happens next. So I just fill out the information.
Is this going to be for Sutton residents?
Yes,
only?
yeah, it'd be for our Sutton folks only. We have the fraud squad at the senior center now, and that's a representative. Her name is Diane, and she's going to be there Tuesdays from 10 to noon. She's going to address, she's just kind of floating around to address any scam or fraud concerns, phone calls that you may be getting, whether it's your cell phone or your home phone, things that may be popping up on your computer. She is a wealth of information. She is well trained and well versed in all of this here. So if you have any concerns and you just want to talk to her privately, or feel free to come on by. She's just there to help us with our scams because it's such a big issue. Again, this is a free service to us and to anybody who has questions. So again, she's on Tuesdays from 10 to noon.
This isn't a class set. This
No.
is individual.
Individual. She's just going to hang, just kind of bump around.
She's a very nice woman.
She is a super nice lady. And again, that program is just wonderful. I can't say enough about that fraud squad group. The center is going to be closed on Monday, February 11th for a climate control conference for the town. And there will be Meals on Wheels. The front office will be open. So staff will be in, Meals on Wheels will be in. I was asked by the town to, they have quite a few people coming in for this climate control green community conference. They needed a place to hold it, and they requested the senior center because it's going to be an all-day affair for the things that are going on within your green community grants and things like that.
Is this for the general public to be there?
No,
as
I
well?
believe
It's just the town
Yes,
only?
yeah, I believe it's
Okay.
a training for them or
Yes.
something along those lines.
Right.
But they,
So after Meals on Wheels,
Yes.
everything will shut down senior center.
yes, yes, I'm.
Yeah.
Actually, all shut down.
Yeah, there's
the
no,
Meals on
there's
Wheels.
no activities
I
or
said
anything.
after Meals on Wheels, right?
Yeah. So Meals on, they're going to come in at about 8 o'clock in the morning.
It's all
They'll
day.
start their conference. There'll be Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
That'll go out. No
That
classes, no
ends
nothing.
quickly, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We're closed Monday, February 18th for President's Day. And it's that season again for taxes, AARP taxes. Back again for tax assistance. They're there on Thursdays. You can call and make an appointment. They're going through April. And the only other thing that I would like to touch on is that Wally Baker and Clark and I attended a regional meeting at the Webster Library about the future of aging. We also have a housing meeting, Wally and I, on Wednesday. And I attached a packet that we received from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs about what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to get people to understand, and that's that we're an aging community and the things that we're going to need to do to be ready for it, because it's here now, so we need something. So that packet is there for you to peruse, to see exactly what Wally and Clark and I are up to. So that is what I had for that. If you look at your February calendar, again, I haven't scheduled in the exercise class for men because he hasn't given me his schedule yet. Hoping today he'll give it to me when I see him. Joe McKenna will be in on February 12th at 2 o'clock to have office hours. Anybody would like to chat with him about anything, he will be there to talk with us. And he can do one-on-one, so if you don't feel like being in some sort of a group or anything, it's really one-on-one if you would like. On the 14th, February 14th, Valentine's Day, there's a nice luncheon. It's a chicken cacciatore. On the 20th is the book club at 11 o'clock. And that looks to be about it. And let's hope we are not bamboozled by snow.
I have just a
Sure.
comment. on like the Valentine's luncheon or when it's like this Thanksgiving luncheon or whatever. I think there's, not with many, but there's a few people who think it's like a special luncheon, not the Tri-Valley luncheon.
Right.
And that it's like a free lunch.
Yes.
I know. So, I mean, maybe if
I'll
I don't
mention
know.
in there that there's,
Well, in the future, maybe when it's something like Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, maybe you need to, or you might consider saying Tri-Valley's Valentine's luncheon.
Perfect.
So that
Sure.
way people know it's not a special
It's
meal, it's
right.
whatever meal is on the menu.
yes.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is from time to time, being in the kitchen, you hear a few people who say, well, what's the lunch going to be? You know, so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
It's just a
perfect.
suggestion.
I love it, yes, of course. And that,
Does anybody else have any
yeah.
questions or anything you want to ask at this point?
I'd like to expand on the meeting that we had over in Webster, if I can have a couple minutes.
sure.
First of all, it was basically run by Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. They're the ones that started this thing. And we had people from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs from the Commonwealth, from the state. And it was called Planning for a Healthy Aging. And Governor Baker, in his last State of the Commonwealth speech, it was the first time that anybody can remember that anything was mentioned at all about seniors. Typically, it's all whatever fiscal, education and the rest of this. Now, at this point in time, there are more people over the age of 60 than there are under the age of 20 in the Commonwealth, which is a significant shift. And to put it in perspective, the Commonwealth, the median age, half above and half below, is 39. We're at 44 and a half in the town of Sutton. So we really hit this. So we had that. There's a book here which I grabbed, and I don't know, we probably should just put this down at the senior center
Okay.
on ARP. ARP, there are 3 states that are called age-friendly in the whole, in the United States. There's New York, Colorado, and Massachusetts. So that's pretty significant. And there was a woman, Heather Weston, who was the
Director of the Sturbridge Senior Center.
Right.
Yep.
And they have a once-a-month session with people with dementia. 1 out of 9 people over the age of 65 in the Commonwealth has dementia, which is, again, I know I'm into numbers, but these are significant numbers. Then I went and found an article in the Boston Globe that 1 out of 3 seniors has a problem with dementia. Not dementia, depression. So now you start, we're always concerned about I shouldn't say always. In general, I think we're always concerned about physical issues.
Yes.
Can we walk, can we see, hear, whatever. But these are significant statistics. So I'd say the biggest thing that I came away with is the fact that it's getting some attention. And I think as part of our responsibility as the Commission of Aging here in this community to continue this attention, and we have to focus on some larger issues sometimes, I think, than, obviously the senior center is extremely important to our whole well-being here, but, there are other issues. It's, we have housing, we have transportation, we have what I call socialization. I don't know if that's the right word, but,
Yes.
the right
Yeah.
It
getting
is.
back to
That's very
some
important
community.
as well.
Not just sitting there home alone, either with your book, your cat, and the TV, whatever, it's like.
As long as they have a cat.
Right.
They do.
Yes,
No,
that's
no,
very
because
important.
a lot of people
Yes.
don't even have the cat.
Yeah,
That's
I agree,
Okay.
yes.
If they have the cat, they have
Something, yeah.
some kind of socialization.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
So
They have
that's
a-
important.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like they love their animal and their animal loves them.
Yes.
and
Yeah,
that's-
unconditionally.
That's a
Yeah.
big, important
Yes.
issue for someone alone, absolutely.
Yeah, right, this creature wants half the bed.
Right. Absolutely,
Gets
yeah.
upset when you push him aside. So I would say that was the biggest thing, is there's starting to be some focus on this. And, we just have to see what we can do to meet the needs of the community.
I have a question. I don't know if this is quite the time or the place for it, but somebody from our center, a senior, is there going to be something held at the senior center concerning housing for the elderly for seniors of Sutton? I think she's under the impression that there's going to be something.
Well, I think we'd have an answer to that better after tomorrow's meeting. It's about trying to develop the interest, develop the need, and show the need, and all that stuff. I don't think we really haven't put anything like that on the books as of yet.
Okay, I think this person was under the impression that, or the impression I got from this person was that this issue in these meetings are pertaining to Sutton specifically. So it's kind of not, at this point, Sutton specifically. Is that correct?
No, it is Sutton specific.
It is.
Some of the people that went to those meetings
Yes.
were very upset that it wasn't more directed at the seniors.
Yes.
They were basically under the impression, because people had them go, that it was going to be about the senior population, and that is not what that meeting was about. It's about housing, period.
Correct. That's the purpose of
Affordable housing,
That's
pardon me.
That's the purpose of this
Right. And
committee that we're going to, is affordable housing.
Right.
It is not senior specific.
Yeah, well, that's what
And-
I'm telling you, how
Yeah.
they were
Yes.
really upset, because they got their, and we can't
One of
do
the,
anything about people being
And
upset.
did you get the impression that, and I know a few women or people who were at that meeting, and they did think it was going to be
Senior.
housing for the
senior
elderly in Sutton, that there was going to be another like the Orchard Apartments, I think it is.
No,
Yeah,
not that kind of.
That's what
I
they
don't
were
know where
under the impression of.
I don't know
Yeah.
where that started,
I don't
because we
either,
never said
and-
that.
Right. and
Well,
this
that
person-
doesn't
Yeah.
matter what people say, it's the impression that people
get.
get.
Right.
The
think we're trying-
impression of what people really want.
Yes.
Well, that's why we have these meetings, for them to express that
Right.
at the meetings.
Right.
You know, I appreciate you coming forward with this information, but we have the meetings, and we're looking for feedback at that point in time.
And I'm giving you feedback
Yeah,
right
I know,
now.
but it should be, they should speak up.
Yeah, but
We
they
kept
did.
asking everybody.
We did.
What happens, especially the elderly, they get so upset and feel that they are not being heard, that they just leave.
Yes. Yes.
Were they walking out?
But maybe,
Well, if you get old enough, Wally,
yeah.
Old
See,
enough.
so,
I'm
yeah.
probably, I'm definitely the oldest male in this room.
Oh, Rich. That's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yay.
Young un.
yeah, maybe you'll have the same feeling. See, I mean,
I think our key thing is affordability, because people
Yeah.
want to be able to stay in the community and downsize. So the key word is affordability,
Yeah,
so that you
but-
can stay in your community. But I guess
What
we
the-
shouldn't make it senior specific, say senior specific.
well, what they're thinking is, because most of them, the problem is, once you get a senior, if anything goes wrong,
Yeah.
which chances are something's going to go wrong
Mm-hmm.
sooner or later, they want housing that will keep them here.
I think that's what our ultimate goal
No,
is here. I mean,
They don't.
that's
Right.
what we're looking for.
We could do another. We could talk tomorrow at our meeting about
You
another.
know what I'm saying?
She's exactly
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
because even this person I'm talking about,
It's probably the
even
same.
though in affordable housing for seniors could mean a senior who could afford to buy a much smaller home. But this person I'm talking about, and some people
They're
after the
thinking that it's like an
meeting,
Orchard
they
Apartments
thought-
where
they-
it's
they're thinking of
income
another
specific
home.
monthly
right,
rent.
Right.
Sorry to talk over you.
No, 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 no.
They specifically think there's going to be another housing for the elderly complex, we'll call it,
Right.
in Sutton
Right.
very shortly.
Oh,
should
no.
say. Right, so maybe when there's
Well,
any
yeah.
discussion, you can just kind of say it's for the future, and there might be, but it's in general, right? The
You
impression.
could say that.
Well, it is in general.
I know, no, I don't know if they're gonna accept that, but yes, you could
I
say
think,
that.
you know, I don't know all the details, but it's like we have the Orchard Apartments, the town owns that, as far as I know. There's been no discussion of the town owning any housing on the meetings that we're
No.
going to. We're not approaching it from that direction.
Yes, but these,
They're getting the impression of
I
that.
don't know where this comes from.
because that's what they want, is
Well,
more,
they ought to express that. I mean,
But some
We could
people
take that
can't
forward
all-
take
tomorrow.
it forward, I'll mention
well,
it
well,
tomorrow,
well,
but
I'm just bringing it
that's
to
a
you,
whole other.
so you basically can bring it forward to your committee, that some of the people want that.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, we can
Yeah, well,
do that, but
yeah.
that changes a lot of things.
I know it changes a lot of things, but, and I don't know how many people it even involves. I know, I mean, I only know the ones I'm talking to.
Right.
Me as
So,
well.
I mean,
me
it
as
could,
well,
and I'm
that's it.
sure there's probably more from that community
It's been about,
that's not even,
yeah.
they're
To
just
me,
sitting
it's
there.
been maybe 4 or
So
5.
the logical
Yeah.
steps would be
Yes,
for us,
yeah.
to, Wally, to bring that forward to them tomorrow, and then maybe see if they're willing to, well, they would be willing to, have another meeting in which we could address it again, or a little bit
We'd have to
differently.
address it again, and now we're into a policy situation, so now you gotta get the selectmen, anything you're gonna do with this is gonna affect the tax base. This is, everything we've talked about so far has been a private development.
Yeah.
and that's a
I
whole-
know,
that's a
but
whole
that's not what they're
different-
expecting.
Well, these are things that we can bring up, and now is the time to bring it
We
up.
sent out a survey.
We sent out a survey to everybody in town.
Yes, you
And
did.
we didn't,
But I think they still got the impression that it was going to be within the near
Yes.
future
Okay.
of another Orchard apartment. So if there is any kind of a meeting at the center or with seniors in Sutton, it could just be said, at this time, the town it's not in the plan for the town right at this time, within the
To
near
own it.
future.
there will be another public meeting, at least another one, probably 2 more public meetings. This one tomorrow was just to look at some proposed plans. There's nothing specific. We kind of zero in on some things, and I'm sure we'll do the same thing we did before. We had a meeting at the senior center, and we had a meeting up here in the evening for people with, work activities or whatever. But one of the messages I got out of this whole thing, because I heard it at both meetings, was I walked away with the impression they did not want a specific senior housing. There was all this talk about having seniors and young professionals living in a mixed environment. I heard it
For intergenerational,
right?
yes.
I heard it at the senior center, and I heard it up here. And I thought, boy, that's really, this is again my personal opinion, that's good, because now we don't have the seniors segregated somewhere. And who knows what, it's like, okay, you're done. Just go live over
Right,
there.
right.
I also have heard a number of people approach me and to ask me about the senior housing, and what about on the way to Boston Road? There's a sign,
Yes.
senior housing, and you had mentioned.
Well, that was,
that has
if
nothing-
they had gone to the meeting, that sign was explained at the meeting.
Yes.
It
yeah.
was.
Well, that sign, just so everybody knows, since
Yeah.
we're on TV, that sign is a private developer putting that up
Right.
in the, is an additional marketing tool, is all I will say. That's all that is. That's like
Just a
seeing,
sign for
that's like seeing a
I-
billboard
I-
on the side of the highway.
But I think
There's
that's
nothing-
where all those people got
Yes,
that
I think
opinion.
This is where they're getting that
It's
opinion
from
from.
that sign.
Absolutely.
Good point. It's from that sign. Yes.
Because that was my first question, when I saw the sign and it was under the high tension wires.
Yeah. It's still, yeah.
You're gonna put the seniors there, really?
Get a charge out of that.
Try to kill them faster?
Well, I heard that they were gonna be across from Valancourt's.
What?
The town-owned land on both sides of
Yeah.
the street
Yeah,
there, and
it's-
that
Oh, my
was-
goodness.
I think
Peyton
the only,
Place.
Answer,
yeah,
okay.
Is there land that belongs to Sutton there?
Not that I know of. There is private land there.
Yeah.
And there is the potential of X number of condominiums going there up and down Armsby Road on
Okay.
both sides of the road.
Okay,
That is it.
that must be.
We have
right.
not, put my
Somebody's
planning board hat on.
Somebody's confusing it with.
We have
Yes.
not seen anything specific. There isn't been anything in there about A, affordable or non-affordable, or B, senior or not.
Okay.
I call it, it's a gleam in someone's eye. It's not, and I'm sure it will go forward, but it's extremely early to get into anything about that particular project.
But we certainly do need some housing for the elderly and the seniors in Sutton. We don't have anything.
Well, the bottom line here and how we got started on this whole thing is, so to put things back into perspective, is that the state says you need 10% affordable housing,
Okay.
period. Sutton has 1.5.
Oh.
What does this mean? This means that anybody, a developer, can come in anywhere in the community and put in quote-unquote affordable housing, and the local zoning has no say on it, period. So they could go in, right up the street here, Uxbridge Road, or Singletary, anywhere. And they could put in 100 units. As long as there's, water and, they pass the
As long as
conservation.
they can pass over.
Right.
Yeah, the basic conservation stuff, and they could do that. And what can Sutton say? Nothing.
And if the people had gone to the meeting, they would have got that out of the meeting, because you did state that very
And
well.
to give you another example, because I lived in that general area decades ago, but somebody went into the town of Wellesley, and for those of you that don't know, the town of Wellesley is a very affluent,
Very.
very affluent community, and it's like 10 miles away from Boston, and proposed on a 2.5 acre project, putting in 200 low-income, we'll say affordable housing units. Well, the town didn't really think that would be appropriate. So after 6 or 8 years of fighting this thing in court, guess what? There are 200 housing units, period. So my feeling is that Wellesley, knowing the number of people live there that have, familiar with the Commonwealth, Boston, money, etc., they couldn't stop it. We're trying to do the best thing for this town of Sutton from a number of angles. Certainly senior housing is an important part of this, and affordable housing. There are other people that probably could use affordable housing besides seniors, young professionals. We have an aging community. Why? Because the cost of housing here in general is extremely expensive for a young family starting out with their student loans, and they still have to find something to do that can pay for all of this here, for an occupation, whatever it is. So we're trying to make this thing a more viable community over a long period and going forward. And believe me, seniors are an important part of this as far as I'm concerned, because I might be biased, it's,
You're absolutely right, and the only reason I brought it up, because, and it's only a small number of people, but just to clarify that in the near future, Sutton is not putting up totally senior housing like the Orchard apartments. This is very important, and if they want affordable housing with a mix of different age groups, I myself think that's excellent. Why should it just be seniors and young people?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. But it's in the future.
Yes.
And for the whole state, really.
But I think what is happening is people get confused between public housing and affordable housing.
Right.
Correct.
They're interchanging.
So right.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Jen.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you're talking about the elderly population that grew up with public housing more. Because that's what Old Orchard
Yes,
is.
it is.
Okay, and so that, when you use the word affordable, they're just assuming it's
That it's public housing. Yes, you're
We
right.
have some affordable housing off of Leland Hill Road.
Right.
Okay? Guess what? You have a mortgage, you have to go to the bank,
Exactly.
you have to be able to pay for this thing.
Right.
What's the difference? Well, I could take you over there and show it to you at some point, but basically, they're not the same size housing. There's not the same lot size. You know, there was a thing, and I've got the document right here, a few months ago on that same road where the developer sold one for $204,000. And guess what? Right up the street, he sold one of his, we'll call it mini mansions for $460,000. It's on the same street. So there's no, everybody's saying, oh, I'm gonna lose this, that, and whatever. Well, none of it's handled properly. And the other thing is, if we don't have anything to say about it and somebody comes and does this in your backyard, what are you gonna lose?
No,
You know,
no,
you're
I
not gonna
agree
have
with you
anything to say
totally.
about
I'm
it.
just trying to
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
you
that's
Yeah.
that
that's a
there is
wonderful point.
problem
I'm
out
glad that
there.
you're
Yeah.
bringing this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Thanks
kind
for
of
that. That's
playing,
great.
yeah,
Yes.
Devil's advocate,
Yeah.
here, just
And-
to say what a small
As you should. I
group
think
of
that's
people are
fantastic.
thinking.
And if you have any, you know,
Yeah.
you can contact me.
I don't have a problem
No,
with
I
it.
know
I
that.
No, no,
went to the
no, no.
meeting.
No,
I don't
if
mean
anybody
you.
comes forward, come and
Just
see
say,
Wally.
speak with
Absolutely.
Wally,
Yeah.
absolutely. Good idea.
And I'm so honestly proud of you guys for bringing that forward because that's kind of what you do. It's what you're
is
supposed to
good.
do.
And thank you, Wally, for
Yeah.
answering
Yes, Wally has been a
questions and setting.
A big gun.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
well.
very much. Thank you. Okay, is there anything else? Do you want to go through the outreach?
I do. I didn't put outreach in there because I just wanted to talk to you about two things that we have been working on. The first thing is, this issue of housing and whatnot. Scams, because as you know, and it's out there, one of our beloved employees got scammed out of $10,000. And luckily, after jumping through hoops, lots and lots of hoops, and everybody saying something different, was able to get most, if not all of that back. But it was very difficult. So that really opened our eyes to what's going on with that. So working on scam issues. We've been doing a lot with licenses. And as you know, the motor vehicles is going to be down at the senior center next Friday. I believe it's next Friday. I have to look at the calendar to talk to you about the differences between the real ID and just a basic license. And they're there to help you fill out any information that you need. And they can do it one-on-one or they can do it as a group. It's going to be completely up to whoever shows up, any of the seniors that show up for that. And the other thing that we're working on, which is a very sensitive subject, and I'm going to bring it up here because I think it's important for people to address it, is hygiene as we get older, or any age, to be honest with you. But we really need to address the issue of hygiene, cleaning clothes, taking baths. If you do wear bladder control stuff, that you need to change it frequently. So those are some really big that's a really big sensitive issue that I've had to deal with for many, many years, and it's very hard. It's very sad. It's difficult for me to address it with somebody, and it's difficult for them to hear because I'm not sure if they realize it or not. But if you notice somebody that is in need of some guidance with hygiene, you can feel free to come to me and or Clark, and we will sensitively address that issue with people. So February's article in the newsletter is going to be about hygiene, and it is a serious thing. Wearing the same clothes every day for weeks and weeks on end. And, it could be, it's very tiring to take a shower for some folks that are older. Maybe their tub is slippery, they can't get in and out. Maybe they need assistance. There's a whole host of things that go along with that. Maybe they're diabetic, and with that comes a lot of responsibility and cleanliness. So there's a lot of issues there. So certainly we see quite a few folks in need of cleanliness. And if you notice somebody who's in need of that, again, come and see us. And we do have somebody who is willing to maybe go over to the house and check on the house. Maybe they need their laundry just thrown in the wash once a week, something like that. And we're willing to do that for somebody in need of that being done. So they can continue to thrive in the community, come to the center, and not be ostracized. So
Nicely put, and that's a good idea that you're putting it in the newsletter, so that way it might be just a little bit of a wake-up call to somebody
yes,
who needs it.
Yeah,
We'll put
absolutely.
it that way.
Yeah.
Very nicely done.
so that's it for outreach.
Okay, all right. Let's see, we're going to go to treasurer's report.
Yep. So our treasurer, Barbara, is out today, but I did include the year-to-date budget. And so far, so good. Seemingly on track. I don't see anything big coming up in the horizon that's going to cause any issues.
What's the in-state that's over?
Now that should be reclassed under
I
contracted
think it needs
services.
to be reclassified.
Yes. That should not be in that line. It should be in the contracted services line.
Wow.
So, which is fine because the bottom line budget is still.
This heating, is that heating the 16%?
Yes.
What's that, because of the solar?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Solar is electric, but the heating is because you have a brand new furnace and you had all that insulation. We've been doing very well on heating the center. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was a huge thing for the town to do.
Is there any questions? Anything you want to ask on the treasurer's report? I'm pretty sure we covered old and new business unless somebody has something they want to ask or discuss. All right, I think we'll go on to the Friends update. It's a little bit after December, but Chain of Lights was very successful again, with a great big thank you to so many, those who helped us, who participated in any way, and those who came through. It was really good. It was nice, and it's always nice to see a lot of old friends and to get some real good, positive feedback. Yeah. And we'll take criticism as well if there needs to be some. Upcoming, and in the February newsletter, there will be the little form to fill out. The Friends are doing, again, the fuel. We call it a raffle giveaway. The word raffle just means you submit your name and address and phone number, and that's how we choose the winner. But it's not, you don't have to buy anything.
Right.
It's a giveaway, meaning that the winners get a, I think we're doing $250 towards their fuel. The stipulation, it's not for Sutton residents only, it's for whoever gets our newsletter or comes through the center. The only thing we ask, or we state, is that it'll be just one winner per household.
Yes.
And we ask that you be 60 plus, just a senior, because we call it the senior fuel giveaway.
Yes.
So that will be in the February newsletter. And that's it for the Friends.
That's great, Friends. You're so friendly.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, you're
I
good.
think that's real generous of the two have outsiders even, anybody that
Yes.
comes
Oh,
through
yes,
that door.
yes.
I mean, I
Yes.
think that really is something.
Oh,
There are a lot of people
And in
that are
fact,
out of
people-
town.
People are surprised sometimes.
I know they are, and they think that, oh, well, I don't live in Sutton. But, I mean, we get support from
From all
people
over.
from all towns, and
That's
a
right.
few out of state, believe
Right.
it or not, from time to time. So it's a giveaway, and it's a thank you, and it's a payback.
Yes, and a giving
And
back.
that's as it should be, not just for
I
Sutton.
think it's nice.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you for that.
I would follow up on that because I met a gentleman at a breakfast we had here a couple of weeks ago from Uxbridge, and I didn't even know he was from Uxbridge. I didn't know where he was from, but he's extolling the virtues of the senior center and the fact he goes over there all the time and plays the ukulele. So I just thought that was very positive.
Love that ukulele
Yeah.
group. They're so good.
You know, before we end, I just want to say, every senior center, even in other states, it's not really just for the town or city it's in. It's open to
Everyone.
anybody.
It's state and
everyone.
federally funded, so you're welcome to.
Absolutely. So, you know, from time to time, you tell that to people, especially people who travel, say, to Florida in
Right.
the winter a few times. Not so much nowadays. People
Right.
tend to be a little more savvy about certain things.
Yeah.
But I know in the past, a few times, myself and a few others have said, you know, if you're going to Florida, check out their senior
They
center
got some
for
gr-
different activities.
Yes.
Or socialization, and they say, "Oh, you can do that." Yeah, you
Well,
know.
the
it's
same thing
open
here
to
is that
everybody.
we're surrounded by some great senior centers, some amazing senior
Absolutely.
centers. So get their newsletter
Yeah.
and go and frequent them as well.
Yeah.
They're wonderful, wonderful folks. So if they have something going on that sounds cool, by all means, have fun. They're great, great people. The directors are good.
Right.
Can't say anything bad about them. So
Good. Okay, if there's nothing else, does anybody have anything else? We will close the meeting. Meeting closed.